There comes a moment in every life when the noise dies down, the room empties, and the only person left beside you is you. And that's where your real journey begins. We grow up believing that happiness is something we find in someone else's eyes, in crowded rooms or constant company. But the truth? Happiness begins the moment you stop chasing people and start choosing yourself. Being alone is not a punishment, it is not a curse, it is the universe's way of saying, come home to yourself. I know what it's like to sit in silence and wonder, why me? I know what it feels like when people leave, when love fades, when the phone stops ringing. But I also know what happens when you stop resisting the stillness and start embracing it. I know what it's like to sit in silence and feel the weight of an empty room. At first, it feels like something is missing, like silence is too loud and stillness is too much to bear. But over time, you begin to see that what feels like emptiness is actually space. Space for you to breathe, space for you to feel, space for you to find yourself. Solitude is not loneliness. It is not the absence of people. It is the presence of self. When you are alone, truly alone, you begin to hear things you've ignored for years. The sound of your heartbeat, the rhythm of your breath, the thoughts you've silenced, the dreams you've delayed. And in that silence, something powerful happens. You begin to discover who you are without the noise, without the masks, without the pressure to perform or please. That's not loneliness. That's self-discovery. Loneliness is when you feel disconnected from everything, even yourself. Solitude is when you reconnect with your heart, your purpose, your voice. It is where healing begins, where wounds finally start to close because you've stopped pretending they aren't there. Solitude doesn't demand that you be okay. It simply invites you to be honest, and that honesty is the first step toward freedom. There is a sacred kind of power in standing alone, because when you're not leaning on anyone else, you start to realize just how strong your legs really are. You stop asking others for permission to be enough. You stop waiting for validation, and you begin to understand that your worth was never tied to anyone's presence or absence in your life. It was always yours. You just needed the quiet to hear it. People often fear solitude because they associate it with abandonment. But solitude is not about being forgotten. It's about remembering yourself. It's about finding joy in your own company. It's about looking in the mirror and recognizing the person staring back at you, not because someone else told you who you are, but because you took the time to find out for yourself. Some of the most beautiful transformations happen in silence. Flowers bloom in solitude. Butterflies emerge in solitude, and human beings heal in solitude. It's where strength is born, not from applause or affirmation, but from the courage to sit with your pain and still choose to grow. So no, solitude is not loneliness. It is not an empty room or a quiet evening. It is a sacred pause, a moment between what was and what will be, a moment where you choose to see yourself, not as broken, not as forgotten, but as becoming whole, becoming healed, becoming you. Your worth isn't defined by who stays or leaves. That sentence carries more weight than it seems to at first glance. We live in a world where people often measure their value by the number of hands they can hold, the number of people who applaud them, or the love they receive from others. But the truth is, people come and go. Sometimes they leave without warning, without closure, and without explanation. And when they do, it can shake you. It can make you question your worth, your beauty, your enoughness. But let me tell you this. Your value does not decrease when someone walks away. It doesn't shrink when someone stops choosing you. And it certainly doesn't disappear when you're left standing alone. The problem is, we often tie our self-esteem to someone else's ability to see us. If they love us, we feel lovable. If they leave, we feel unworthy. But that's not how self-worth works. Your worth is not fragile. It is not something another person can give or take away. It is not negotiable. It is not up for debate. It's in your breath. It's in your resilience. It's in the way you keep going even when your heart is shattered. You are not someone's decision. You are not their departure. You are not your silence. You are not the reason they left. People leave for all kinds of reasons. Some we understand, most we don't. But someone else's inability to love you the way you deserve does not mean you are unlovable. It just means they were not meant to be the one to show you how deep your own love can go. It means they were not your forever, and that's okay. Not everyone is meant to stay. Some people are lessons, some are blessings, and some are both. When people leave, don't beg them to stay. Don't chase them down the road they've chosen. Let them go, let them walk. Because your journey is not over. In fact, that goodbye may be the very thing that pushes you back into yourself, into the place where you learn to stand tall on your own, where you remember how to love yourself in a way no one else ever could. Being left is painful, yes, but it is not the end of your story. It is not the defining chapter. The truth is, when people walk away, they often make space for something better, something real, something aligned, something healing. But that can only come when you stop believing that you are somehow less because they're gone. You are whole, even with the ache, even with the cracks, even in the silence after the door closes. Your worth is in your breath, your heartbeat, your dreams, your ability to rise. And no matter who stays or who leaves, that worth remains untouched, immutable, eternal, undeniable. Healing begins in silence. It's in those quiet moments, the ones no one sees, no one claps for, and no one understands, where real transformation starts to unfold. We often associate healing with action, with doing something, fixing something, or moving forward quickly. But true healing doesn't rush. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It creeps in gently when the world goes quiet and you're finally left alone with your pain, your truth, and your heart. The silence we fear is often the very place our wounds begin to breathe. It's in the stillness that we stop pretending we're okay. It's in the pause between one breath and the next that we let our guard down and finally admit, this hurt me, this broke me, this changed me. That honesty, raw and unfiltered, is where healing begins. Not in denial, not in distraction, but in that sacred moment when you look at your own brokenness and don't look away. Silence is not empty. It is full of answers we've been too busy or too afraid to hear. The world moves fast, people move faster. Everyone is talking, posting, performing. And in all the noise, it becomes easy to avoid yourself. Easy to numb the pain with noise, with people, with plans. But avoidance is not healing. It's only postponing what your heart is desperate to feel. And healing cannot be postponed forever. Eventually, silence finds you, sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes in an empty room, sometimes after someone leaves. And when it does, it demands your attention. It invites you to sit with yourself, not your version of who you wish to be, but who you are right now, in this moment. The parts of you that ache, the parts of you that are tired of pretending, the parts that no one claps for. And in that silence, you learn that you don't need to be fixed, you just need to be heard. And sometimes, the only one who can hear you is you. Healing begins when you stop running from the pain and instead sit beside it, not to solve it immediately, but simply to acknowledge that it exists, that it matters, that you matter. Silence holds space for your grief. It doesn't rush you past it. It allows you to cry without shame, to rest without guilt, to breathe without needing to explain why you're still not okay. And that space is sacred. That space is where the scars begin to soften. In silence, you reconnect with your soul. You remember your strength. You relearn your worth. You find clarity. You make peace with what was and start to see what could be. There is something holy about choosing stillness in a world that never stops, about saying, I will not ignore my pain just to keep up with the pace of others. But sometimes, the most courageous thing you can do is be still, listen, feel, and begin again. Quietly, gently, and wholly. You are your safest home. That truth is not always easy to embrace, especially in a world that constantly teaches us to seek comfort in other people, places, or achievements. From a young age, we are conditioned to believe that security comes from being loved by someone else, that belonging means fitting in somewhere, and that happiness is found outside of ourselves. But the more life happens, the more losses, changes, betrayals, and heartbreaks we endure, the more we realize that the only place we can truly return to without fear of rejection or judgment is ourselves. There is something deeply powerful about realizing that you are not a temporary shelter for passing storms, but a home, a constant, a sanctuary. Your body, your mind, your spirit, they have carried you through every single moment. Even when you didn't feel strong, Even when you felt like giving up, you were still there for yourself. You've been your own witness, your own comfort, your own silent strength, and that matters. That is everything. It's easy to get lost in the search for people who will love you, understand you, save you. But real peace begins when you stop waiting for someone to rescue you and start becoming your own refuge. That's when you start talking to yourself with kindness, not criticism. That's when you stop punishing yourself for your past and start nurturing the parts of you that have been aching for care. And the beauty is, you don't have to be perfect to be your own safe space. You just have to be present. You just have to be willing to hold yourself through the hard moments the same way you wish someone else would. There is so much freedom in knowing that no matter who stays or who leaves, you will still have a place to rest in your own heart. When life gets overwhelming, when the world feels too loud, when your dreams seem too far, you can come back to you. You can close your eyes, take a deep breath, and remember that you've survived 100% of your worst days. And you did it with the help of the person staring back at you in the mirror. Learning to be your safest home doesn't mean you'll never need others. It just means you won't fall apart if they walk away. It means you'll stop settling for love that hurts, for friendships that drain you, for environments that silence you. Because when you know you are enough for yourself, your standards rise. You stop begging to be seen and start seeing yourself. You stop chasing validation and start honoring your own truth. You are not too broken to be a safe place. You are not too damaged to be whole. You are not too far gone to come home to yourself. The journey might be messy, it might be painful, but it is worth it. Because in the end, the safest place you'll ever find won't be in someone else's arms. It will be in the quiet, steady, unconditional love you offer yourself. When you're alone, your dreams get louder. Not because they've suddenly changed, but because the world grows quiet enough for you to finally hear them. In the company of others, our voices often blend into the noise of opinions, expectations, and comparisons. We shape our lives around what is safe, what is accepted, and what is applauded. But when the crowd disappears and you are left with nothing but your own thoughts, something powerful begins to surface. The sound of your soul speaking through dreams that refuse to be silenced. Solitude has a way of stripping away distractions. It removes the noise that convinces you to play small or hide your light. And in that space, your dreams start to rise from the background. They no longer whisper. They roar. They ask to be seen. They demand to be felt. In the stillness, you remember the things that once set your heart on fire, the visions you tucked away to make room for what felt more reasonable, more realistic. But dreams were never meant to be reasonable. They were meant to stretch you, to call you into something greater than comfort. When you're alone, you begin to realize that dreaming is not foolish, it's sacred. And the fact that your dreams still live inside you, despite the years, the heartbreaks, the setbacks, is proof that they are resilient. They're not here by accident. They've been waiting for you to slow down long enough to pay attention. It's in those quiet moments, late at night, early in the morning, when no one is texting you, when no one is watching, that you feel the tug, the idea you can't shake, the desire you can't bury, the vision that keeps resurfacing. And maybe it scares you, maybe it feels too big, but that's exactly how dreams are supposed to feel. Uncomfortable, wild, sacred. People might not understand, they might not see what you see, but that's okay. Your dreams were given to you for a reason. They are yours to nurture, to believe in, to fight for. And the beauty of being alone is that you don't have to explain them to anyone. You just have to believe in them enough to begin, to take the first step, to trust that even if the path is unclear, your inner voice will lead you home. In solitude, your dreams become louder because your truth becomes clearer. And your truth doesn't need a crowd, it needs your courage. So if you find yourself alone, don't rush to fill the silence. Don't run from the stillness, sit in it. Listen, your dreams are speaking louder than ever. They're reminding you that your life is not finished, that your story is still being written, and that what you desire deeply is possible if only you're willing to stop and hear the sound of your own becoming. Being alone is the training ground for unshakable confidence. It's in those moments of solitude when there is no one else to lean on that you begin to uncover just how capable you truly are. When the noise of the world fades away, when the applause disappears and the guidance goes quiet, All that's left is you, and that is where your strength is built. Not in the moments of certainty, but in the moments where you have to figure it out on your own, stand on your own, believe in yourself, even when no one else does. Confidence doesn't grow in crowds. It is forged in silence, in those deeply personal battles you fight behind closed doors. When you choose to get back up after falling, when you comfort yourself through the tears, when you become your own motivator on the days it feels impossible, that's when confidence takes root. It grows every time you choose to keep going without waiting for someone to tell you you're enough. It grows every time you show up for yourself, even when no one is watching. Being alone teaches you self-reliance. You stop outsourcing your peace to other people. You stop seeking approval before making a move. You begin to trust your instincts, to believe that your decisions matter, and to know that even if you make a mistake, you'll figure it out. That kind of faith in yourself isn't built overnight. It's built through experience, through walking through the fire alone and coming out stronger on the other side. Solitude becomes your mirror. It reflects back not only your fears, but your resilience. You start to recognize your ability to survive what once terrified you. And with every challenge you face on your own, your voice gets steadier, your presence grows stronger, your foundation becomes more secure. You stop needing the world to tell you who you are, because you've spent enough time alone to find out for yourself. This kind of confidence isn't loud. It doesn't need to prove itself. It's quiet, steady, and unshakable. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't crumble under pressure because it was built in the silence where no one else could hear your struggle. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to perform. You just have to be, and that's enough. When you've learned to stand alone, you walk into the world differently. You don't cling to people out of fear. You choose relationships from wholeness, not desperation. You speak from truth, not from insecurity. Because you know now that you can survive being alone, and more than that, you can thrive in it. You've learned that being by yourself isn't a weakness. It's where your inner power is born. And once you've tasted that kind of self-assurance, nothing and no one can take it from you.